stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. says that some threats against Philippine sovereign rights which harm some Filipinos are unacceptable and unjust. Different groups staged protests at the Chinese embassy coinciding with the observance of the Day of Valor in the Philippines. The Senate President wants the upper chamber of Congress to begin the plenary debates on the proposed revival of the Mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps, ROTC, next month. And we will discover why Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed concerns over the potential ramifications of not receiving military aid from the United States Congress in their ongoing conflict against Russia. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, the 9th of April, 2024. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. We're also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Harleen Delgado. First in the news, President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. says that some threats against Philippine sovereign rights which harm some Filipinos are unacceptable and unjust. Meanwhile, Japan and the United States of America have recommitted alliance with the Philippines to maintain peace in the region. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. declared that currently the Philippines faces various challenges, including threats to the country's sovereign rights. This statement was made in commemoration of the Araw ng Kagitingan at Mount Samal in Pilar, Bataan on Tuesday, April 9. The Day of Valor commemorates the fall of Bataan during the World War II, when Filipino and American soldiers surrendered to the Japanese after several days of fighting with limited weapons, ammunition, and supplies.
82 years on, our nation remains confronted with novel challenges in varying forms and degrees, but with the same existential impact. Some portend clear and present threats to our sovereign rights and in fact have already caused physical harm to our people.
According to the President, it is unacceptable that some of our fellow countrymen have already been hurt because of these threats to the nation's sovereign rights. Although not directly stated by the President, it seems to allude to the escalating aggression of China in the disputed territories in the West Philippine Sea.
Hindi makatwiran o makatarungan, lalo na sa panahong ito ng payapang pakikipag-ugnayan ng mga bansa. Naway magsilbing inspirasyon ng mga kaganapan noong 1942 at ang tagumpay natin noong 1945 sa ating lahat. Gayon din sa ating kabataan at sa mga ating susunod na salinlahi. Tulad ng pinamalas ng ating mga dakilang ninuno, hindi tayo dapat magpasupil at magpaapi, lalo na sa loob ng ating sariling bakuran.
President Marcos also urged Filipinos to strengthen unity and patriotism amid the challenges facing the Philippines. Among those who participated in the commemoration of the Araw ng Kagitingan were the Ambassador of Japan and the Deputy Chief of Mission of the United States in the Philippines. They emphasized their respective countries' commitment to collaborating with the Philippines to promote security and respect for international law in the region.
We, the Japanese people, are determined to never allow the devastation of war to be repeated ever again for the sake of present and future generations.
Here on Mount Samat, we recommit ourselves to the quest for peace. We stand united with the Philippines as friends, partners, and allies.
The first ever trilateral leaders summit between PBBM, U.S. President Joe Biden, and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida is set to take place in Washington this week to further enhance the cooperation among the three countries. This is also aimed at addressing the escalating tension in the West Philippine Sea. Meanwhile, on Araw ng Kagitingan, PBBM also recognized the Armed Forces of the Philippines for their continuous vigilance and defense of our security and sovereignty. He also ordered the Defense, Budget, and Finance departments to study the current separation benefits of soldiers who incurred total permanent disabilities in the line of duties.
to see if these are commensurate to the sacrifices that they have made and submit the recommendation while taking stock of the national government's position.
Apart from this, PBBM also stated that the government is doubling its efforts to provide the AFP with the right military supplies and equipment. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Various groups staged protests at the Chinese embassy earlier today that coincided with the observance of the Day of Valor. They called on China to leave the waters of the West Philippine Sea to honor and recognize the 2016 arbitral ruling of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, and to cease the harassment faced by Filipino fishermen. Additionally, they demanded an end to the obstruction of rotational and resupply missions in the West Philippine Sea. Ryan Lacanlale will tell us why.
Early today, April 9, several groups marched to the Chinese embassy in Makati City to conduct a protest. Among those present was the Revolutionaryong Alyansang Makabansa or RAM, consisting mostly of retired policemen and military personnel. They organized a large motorcycle ride to show opposition to China's territorial claims in the West Philippine Sea.
We appeal to the People's Republic of China, to their ambassador and to their President Xi Jinping, that they spare us our occupied territories in the West Philippine Sea.
In front of the Chinese embassy, they made noise simultaneously by honking the horn of their motorcycles. They called for China to consider the decades-long friendship between the two countries.
Para maximum visibility for the country to know that we are one with everybody in order to fight for our legal territories in the Philippines, in the West Philippine Sea.
However, they also stated that if China continues its actions, the country's right against their encroachment should be defended.
We will defend our right. We will be, in fact, we have proposed the registration of all our members nationwide to be a reservist in the armed forces of the Philippines in order to be a multiplier force. Maybe we can help if something happens. We can help with the intelligence, logistics, and administrative works, and if necessary in the front line, why not?
Meanwhile, militant groups staged a program on the street right in front of the Chinese embassy. Traffic is slightly worsened as some motorists were caught in the flow of the protest. They also called China to remove its ships from the West Philippine Sea.
Sa araw na ito at araw ng paggunita natin ng kagitingan ay nire-registro natin yung maraming pagtutol natin sa patuloy na illegal at walang batayan na pag-occupy ng Chinese government sa West Philippine Sea.
Ang araw ng kagitingan ay mahalaga upang sariwain natin na kayang may magiting na kasaysayan ang mga Pilipino ng paglaban sa mga mananakop na dayuhan.
They also condemned the continuous harassment of Chinese vessels against Filipino fishermen and Philippine ships. Ryan Lacanlale, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Senate will prioritize the proposed bills seeking to revive the controversial Mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps, ROTC, once session resumes. This report will tell us why. Senate President Juan Miguel Mig Zubiri wants the Senate to begin the plenary debates on the proposed revival of the Mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps, or ROTC, next month. Both chambers of Congress are on session break and will resume on April 29. Zubiri says this was his commitment to Senator Ronald De La Rosa, a proponent of the bill.
Sabi ko nga, kung meron po ako mga kasamahan na hindi sang-ayon sa ROTC, magboto na lang po sila. Ibigay na lang po nila yung boto nila. Kasi sa tingin ko, mas marami po ang gusto ng ROTC doon sa Senado. So let's give the bill a chance.
Several lawmakers and youth organizations worry that the bill is prone to abuse and that reviving the mandatory ROTC is not the solution for the country's external threats, such as a continued aggression in the West Philippine Sea.
Sigurado yung safeguards tayo. Meron tayong i-establish na mga grievance committee sa bawat ROTC unit. Ang membro nito ay DND, TISDA, CHED at saka local government unit. So meron nagbabantay dyan, nagmamasid, nagmumonitor sa mga abuso na pwede mangyari.
Yung ROTC na yun, hindi lamang po marcha-marcha, pumutok ng baril. Ngayon po, ang plano, the AFP has decided to come up with other divisions in the ROTC program. For example, expert po kayo sa computer. Di ba? You're computer experts. Then you will be in the cyber hacking, anti-cyber hacking division of the service force. Kung kayo po ay mga engineers, you're students of engineering, they will now assist you on the engineering programs of the AFP. So it will enhance your skills.
De La Rosa is optimistic that the bill will hurdle the Senate plenary despite opposition from some of his colleagues. Minority senators have already expressed their intention to oppose the measure, while Senator Francis Cheese Escudero earlier said in an interview that he is likely to vote against the bill.
Ako, kung magkabutuhan, sure ako na mananalo. Pero yun nga lang, hindi overwhelming. Alam ko, slim margin. Hopeful ako, hope lang. Hope, wala namang bayad sa hope, no? Wala namang bayad mangarap. Ako'y nangangarap na sana may pasa natin yan bago magsuna.
Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for the news abroad. Colombia's Environment Minister, Susana Mohammed, announced a 25% to 35% drop in Amazon deforestation forecasts for 2023. Evidence suggests destruction has risen to 2024. Annie Mancilla will give us the details live. Yes, Annie, good evening.
Bianca, Colombia boasts immense biodiversity, hosting numerous plant and animal species within its ecosystems. However, like its regional counterparts, it contends with significant forest loss due to deforestation annually. The majority of Colombia's deforestation occurs within the Amazon region. In 2022, despite a 29% decrease in deforestation, approximately 1,235 square kilometers or 477 square miles of forests were still lost across Colombia. As for the latest available data, despite an anticipated decrease in deforestation for 2023, the Environment Ministry stated that destruction in Colombia's Amazon region surged by 40% in the first quarter of 2024, compared to the same period last year. The Environment Ministry reported a 40% rise in Amazon destruction in quarter 1 of 2024 compared to last year. Despite anticipated deforestation reduction in 2023, drier, hotter conditions from a strong El Niño worsened forest challenges, while conflict with illegal armed groups hampers environmental efforts, the ministry said. Colombia ranks among the most dangerous countries for environmentalists, with dozens of activists killed annually for their work, states advocacy group Global Witness. Back to you, Bianca.
That live report. Crowds of sky watchers across North America gathered to witness a rare celestial event as the moon obscured the sun, plunging the afternoon into a mystical twilight during the continent's first total solar eclipse in 7 years. From the sandy shores of a Mexican beach resort to the banks of the Ohio River and the majestic Niagara Falls on the US-Canadian border, onlookers marveled at the spectacle of the eclipse's totality with expressions of wonder and joy. As the moon's shadow engulfed the sun, cheers, applause, and whistles filled the air, marking the peak of the eclipse that lasted up to 4.5 minutes, creating a mesmerizing scene that captivated all who witnessed it. The arrival of totality brought with it an array of eerie eclipse effects. Stars twinkling in the daytime sky, a sudden descent into dusk, a drop in temperatures, and faint rippling shadow bands dancing across the landscape. The natural world responded to the celestial phenomenon as birds and wildlife fell silent and still, adding to the otherworldly atmosphere. Describing the event as a complete sensory experience, the eclipse left a lasting impression on those fortunate enough to behold its breathtaking display. And we'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Bianca. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, could be partnering with a local company for the electronic transmission of elections results in the 2025 midterm elections. Dante Amento tells us why.
Commission on Elections, or COMELEC Chairman George Erwin Garcia disclosed that they approved the recommendation of their Special Bids and Awards Committee, or SBAC, to award the 1.4 billion peso contract to I1 Resources Incorporated. It is a local company with a joint venture with Ardent Network Incorporated for electronic transmission in the 2025 midterm elections.
Naniwala naman yung inyong Commission and Bank sa naging recommendation ng SBAC natin, ng Special Bids and Awards Committee at saka yung ating Technical Working Group.
The joint venture would be responsible for the transmission of election returns from the precincts to the servers such as of the media, PPCRV, majority and minority political parties. Garcia emphasized that before giving the contract to I1, it underwent strict evaluation.
Tinest din ng ating mismong DOST, pati ng ating ITD personnel, at nakita nila talagang medyo kakaiba at ito yung pinaka-advanced na technology when it comes to ganito, at mukhang ito mismo yung ginagamit na para protektahan yung sa Central Intelligence Agency at saka sa US military.
The formal notice of award is expected to be furnished on Thursday, April 11. Meanwhile, the poll body warns the company not to entertain possible groups, political parties, or politicians to do them a favor in the elections.
Papatawag ko sila in the presence of practically the officials of the commission, and sasabihin ko rin sa kanila yung aking sinabi na ito ay dapat nilang ipagmalaki na nabigyan sila ng pagkakataon na protektahan ang ating demokrasya, and therefore hindi sila dapat magkamali sa bagay na ito.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has reported that fuel subsidy in 2023 has not been fully utilized due to issues in enlistment from the local government units. JP Nunez details why.
The Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has pointed out in particular that among all public transportation, tricycle drivers have not completely received fuel subsidy. It was from the 1.1 billion peso budget released last year, where tricycle drivers shall receive 1,000 pesos each. LTFRB Chairman Chofilo Guadis III explained the issues in payout.
Kung minsan po, kulang-kulang yung listahan, kaya yung previous fuel subsidy po na iniatang po at binigay ng gobyerno ay hindi pa ho namin fully na naibibigay dahil kulang-kulang pa po yung listahan na binibigay ng DILG at saka ng DICT po para sa mga delivery riders.
On the other hand, LTFRB said the payout of fuel subsidy among modern jeepneys and cooperatives has been easier. To some tricycle drivers in Quezon City, they clamor fuel subsidy as the prices of oil products continue to increase.
Kasi katulad nito, ang hina ng biyahe, di ba? Tapos tataas pa yung gas. Siyempre kailangan din namin yun para makadagdag man lang ng gas.
Kailangan namin yan dahil sa unang-una nagtataas ang gasolina. Ikalawa, kumakain kami para sa sarili namin, sa pamilya namin. Nagme-maintenance ako, gamot yung dami, oh. Hindi mo naman pwede hingin ito sa kung kanino. Kasi pagpapagura namin dyan. Tapos pambili ng, kakainin na lang namin, pambili ng, kasi pangako, napako na.
LTFRB said they are just waiting for the command of Department of Transportation to release another fuel subsidy as fuel price surges. According to LTFRB, there are 1.6 billion pesos allotted for fuel subsidy from the budget allocation this year.
Now we're waiting for the advice from the DOTR para po ibigay sa amin ng pondo para dito po sa fuel subsidy.
JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And in other global news, the official investigation has unveiled that Chinese meddling in 2019 and 2021 Canadian elections. The Canadian Security Intelligence Service report highlighted that strategic interference tactics potentially made by China. Paul Gatchalian will tell us why.
Canada's recent elections experienced interference from China, according to revelations made during an official inquiry on Monday. This disclosure marks a significant development in the ongoing concerns regarding potential Chinese intervention in Canadian political affairs. The Canadian Security Intelligence Service, CSIS, briefing from February 2023, presented to a commission investigating foreign interference, highlighted findings that pointed to clandestine meddling by the People's Republic of China, PRC, in both the 2019 and 2021 elections. The interference was described as strategic in nature, targeting individuals perceived as pro-PRC or holding a neutral stance on matters aligning with the Chinese government's interests. Although the report had been previously mentioned by Global News, the Commission's session shed further light on the extent of Chinese involvement in the electoral processes. Notably, China has consistently denied any allegations of interference in Canadian politics. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, whose Liberal Party emerged victorious in both the scrutinized elections, faced mounting pressure from opposition figures following media speculations regarding China's potential influence. In response, Trudeau initiated the commission to investigate foreign meddling, leading to the surfacing of the damning findings. Former Conservative leader Erin O'Toole, who held the party during the 2021 election cycle, expressed concerns over the impact of Chinese interference, estimating that it may have cost his party as many as 9 seats. However, he clarified that despite these challenges, the interference did not alter the election's overall outcome. The revelations underscore the perceived lack of legal and political repercussions for foreign actors engaging in interference activities within Canada, making it a low-risk, high-reward endeavor. This latest evidence of foreign interference in Canadian elections highlights the ongoing challenges posed by external actors seeking to influence the country's democratic processes. Paul Gatchalian, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people. Give glory to God.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky expressed concerns over the potential ramifications of not receiving military aid from the United States Congress in their ongoing conflict against Russia. During a meeting with a fundraising group, Zelensky emphasized the urgency of addressing this matter promptly. He warned that failure to secure adequate support could result in Ukraine's defeat, potentially leading to further aggression from Russia towards other nations. While the U.S. Senate passed a $95.3 billion foreign aid package in February, which includes assistance for Ukraine, among others, House Speaker Mark Johnson has yet to schedule a vote on the specific aid package for Ukraine. Former Vice President Jogan Glass of Ecuador was hospitalized a few days after being arrested in a high-profile raid at the Mexican embassy in Quito. Glass fell ill inside the detention facility after being denied food for an extended period. While his condition is stable, doctors need to observe him further before returning him to detention. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Bianca Quijano, live from Edmonton, Canada. Good evening.
2 more overseas Filipino workers have been reported injured as a result of the magnitude 7.4 earthquake that struck Taiwan on April 3, 2024. According to the update from Department of Migrant Workers, Officer in Charge Hans Leo Kakdak, one of the victims sustained injuries to their left thigh. Meanwhile, another Filipino worker also received medical treatment for wounds on their left hand. As a result, the total number of Filipino workers injured in the earthquake in Taiwan has risen to 11. In response to the situation, the DMW has dispatched an augmentation team to address the needs of OFWs residing in Hualien County and other nearby areas affected by the earthquake. The latest findings from Octa research shed light on the political preferences of adult Filipinos based on a survey conducted from March 11 to 14 of this year. In this comprehensive study, which canvassed the opinions of over 1,000 respondents on their support for various political figures, the survey results indicate that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. occupies the top position in terms of popular support. Catherine Brown details why.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and his administration ranks first and got 31% in political preferences of Filipino survey released by Octa Research Group. According to Octa Research fellow Dr. Guido David, this doesn't mean that the entire number is actually pro-Marcos, because survey respondents may also just agree with the current administration. This is also a good result because it is higher compared to other ratings.
And yung interpretation is 31% said, I support President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and his administration. Hindi ka majority, pero malaki-laki siyang porsyento. Yung mga nasa Marcos camp should be a little happier kasi medyo mataas yung numbers nila compared sa others. 31 is significant. But 31 is not majority. Correct. But it's still a minority.
He added that the 20% which the Duterte family obtained shows that they still have a lot of supporters these days.
Maybe it's lower than the Marcos, but it's also a function of meron kasi Filipinos, whoever's in power, yun yung sinusupport nila, which is, understandable. So, the fact that the Dutertes are not in power but they still have 20, I would say that's very significant. 1 out of 5 Filipinos, solid sa kanila, no matter. So, it gives them, I think it should give them a sense of na parang, we still have influence, we're still relevant.
Moreover, the low results that came out for the opposition is a bit concerning, according to Dr. David.
Yung 4% sa opposition, it's kind of low for opposition. So whoever's in the opposition, I would be, a bit concerned for their political future because, they're not very relevant.
In addition to these results, 29% of the respondents are called independents because they are not pro-Marcos, pro-Duterte, or in the side of the opposition, while the remaining 15% do not know who to support or refuse to respond in the said survey. Catherine Brown, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 5, verse 10. It says, He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity. And those are the reasons behind the news, April 9, 2024. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. Because we need to know. We will always ask why. I'm Harleen Delgado. We serve the people. We give glory to God.